What's going on, guys? G-Code episode here with my guy, Kyle Kubat. Kyle, what's up, big dog?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm great. So let people know who Kyle Kubat is for people who don't know.
Kyle Kubat, went to Creighton Prep, went to University of Nebraska-Lincoln, left-handed pitcher, and currently in the minor league system, AAA for the Chicago White Sox.
How long you been in the pros?
This will be my 6th season coming up here in about 3 weeks.
Really?
Yep. 2 with the Royals and
that's right, you were with the Royals.
4 with the White Sox.
So what's the big difference between Royals and White Sox? Number one difference. Be honest.
I couldn't tell you. Color change, I guess. Got to go from blue to black.
Okay.
Still in the AL Central, so
Right.
not a whole lot different. Both organizations are fantastic. I love them both. The people, the higher ups, the players that I've played with in both organizations are fantastic. And when you get in the baseball community with any sport, everyone knows everyone. So if you're a good person, people know that. And if you're not a good person, people know that as well.
Right.
So both organizations are fantastic. I love them both. And
Right.
still happy to be playing.
Oh, yeah. So what's one of the biggest things that you attribute your success to throughout your whole career?
It's been a long career.
It's been a long career.
It's been about 20 years since I started playing.
Really?
Yeah, since I was 7.
Did you play any other sports?
I played basketball until high school, and I played football freshman year.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yep. Natural athlete. Pitchers are athletes. Got to remember that.
Yes, they are.
It's a never-ending process, I think. You're always learning. You're always doing something to better yourself. And I think over the years, as I mature and understand what I'm doing, it's being able to put my own spin on it. And
How so?
you go high school, college, you're kind of, what they tell you is kind of what you have to do. And then, if you're not feeling something, you don't like to do it, or you want to do something more, then you can add to it. You can, not do certain things. Just understanding how your body works, just how I'm different from the next pitcher.
Right.
So having the cookie cutter workouts where everyone's doing the same thing isn't the best. I think everyone's different. Everyone's body moves differently.
Everyone has different needs.
Everyone's sport's different. Obviously,
Right.
I'm not going to lift like a football player,
Right.
and vice versa. So understanding what I need specifically for my sport and my body has made a huge difference for me as I progressed through prep, Nebraska, and professional ball.
Right. How long did it take you to really understand that? Because I'm sure at first, like at Nebraska or in college, in high school, maybe even the pros, like you've probably done some cookie cutter programs that maybe weren't the best for you.
Yeah, and you walk into a new program, a new organization, and you can't be that guy to say, I'm not doing it your way, I'm doing it my way. You gotta do what they tell you. Yes, they're your boss in a sense, so you gotta do it. And then over time, I think the trust between coach and organization and player is established. And if I bring something up that I need in order for me to feel good, in order to perform, then then they'll let me do it. But if it's just something egregious that I'm just going to do it because it's on Twitter, probably not the best for me.
So when did you start more so having a voice? And the reason why I ask, because that's one thing I tell all my athletes. I'm like, hey, don't be afraid to ever have a voice in here. And the reason why is I want them to go on and at least question. There's nothing wrong with asking questions.
No, absolutely not.
And I think a lot of athletes almost feel intimidated because they don't want to make whether it's a coach or your strength coach or whatever, they don't want to make them feel dumb, and they don't want to make it seem like they're questioning their program. But again, like I tell them, you need to ask these questions, 1, so that way they know what they're doing, but 2, so you know why you're doing it.
Absolutely. I think it's just, if you give me a program and I don't say anything and I just do it, there's no why behind it. My intent is kind of just there.
Right.
And as a pitching instructor too, back in Omaha during the off season, I tell kids all the time, talk to me, ask questions. Like, you're here to learn. And if you ask me a question that I don't know, I'm not going to be mad about it. I'm going to ask someone else, and I'm going to find a way to give you an answer that's suitable for your question.
Right.
And to give the player the freedom to ask questions without feeling judged by the instructor, strength coach, whoever.
Right.
I think that also establishes that just communication, that trust. And it goes a long way. And I think the freedom to do that stuff and relax, to do what they need to do to get ready in the weight room, you know, in their bullpens, whatever. And then it translates onto the field because that trust and freedom just go out there and do it. Yeah.
Right. And again, I think sometimes athletes, and I've heard this from athletes too, is they don't ask because they figure that some of them just figure that, well, you're the expert, you should know. And in most cases, actually, well, not most cases, in some cases they may not, you know. And so again, I think it's just still part of the learning process for athletes. Because for me, and then when I tell an athlete like, hey, like I'm getting you ready for college or the pros or even high school at this time and age, there's so many kids, you know, like for us in Nebraska, we had, 30 guys in the weight room? And sometimes guys weren't getting coached. That's just how things get missed. And so I think creating some accountability with you guys, well, with the athletes, and knowing, okay, this is what I have to do, this is what I need to do in this exercise or this drill or whatever. Creating that accountability make a big difference, don't you think?
Absolutely. And like going back to being individualized, you know, squats, bench, obviously the bulk of lifting is going to be the same, but then there's going to be, you know, differences between person to person. Like, you know, I may have bad hips or can't sink into my hips enough to throw hard pitching, so I'm going to obviously work on that more compared to a lineman who might bench a little more, do more push pulls. I see these things.
Right.
I've done so many push pulls at Nebraska, I'm good for the rest of my life. Looking at these machines right now.
Every day I feel like.
Absolutely, we did. Might as well just get a tattoo of it on my back.
Might as well.
Yeah,
I have all 6 of them.
Oh yeah, death at 6 a.m. on Monday mornings. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. So one reason why I wanted to have you on was you've been through high school, you've been through college at a high level, now you're at a high level in pros. What has the transition been like? And you don't have to go super in detail because I know we can probably talk about it all day, but there's some kids who they hear about it, they see about it on social media or TV, whatever, but can you give them a little bit of example of what the transitions are like and how it's different at each level? It's a big question. I know.
That's a very big question.
Let's start small. High school to college.
I think the biggest thing I learned high school, college was weight room. I wasn't the best at it in high school, and
why is that? Did you care about it?
I did, and I didn't. It was never really an integral part of high school, I guess. I think obviously it's changed now.
Certainly.
You know, going to high school almost a decade ago, you know, things have changed, and it wasn't really that much of a priority. We'd get in there, you know, once or twice every week or 2 weeks. It wasn't, you know, 3 to 4 days a week now and stuff like that, where people are going nonstop. So being able to adjust to a weight room atmosphere, I think that was the biggest challenge for me going into college. And college to pro, I think it was...
Well, real quick before we get to that, do you feel like that when you walked in on that first day, that you had somewhat of an understanding of what to at least expect for yourself in the college weight room? Or were you kind of just like a deer in the headlights, like I have no idea what's about to happen?
I was kind of a deer in the headlights.
Why? Why do you feel that way?
I think it was more my overthinking of it.
Right.
You know, I'm not an idiot. I knew what a weight room was. I'd been in it, but at the same time, it's like you got upperclassmen. They're like, you know, better be ready. Like, get going. This is gonna be tough. And I'm sitting there overthinking it. Like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be boot camp, and an hour of just straight running. And over time, it got a lot easier, obviously, because I was used to it. But just that awareness of the weight room and understanding how it's going to translate to the game was just a huge part from going from high school to college.
Right. So, and then, okay, so let's go into detail from college to pro.
Now going into pro, I think biggest part was taking what I learned at Nebraska and over, my 3 summers in summer ball and just learning from other people was how do I individualize it? So going back to that to where I need it specifically for me and being able to put together a program, I wouldn't say put together my own program, but use what Nebraska's gave me, use what the Royals want me to do, and then understand why I'm actually doing it, not just have them hand me a program, get in there for 45 minutes and be like, all right, I'm done.
Right.
Actually understand why am I doing it. Every rep needs to be crisp, clean. If not, it doesn't count.
Why is it going to make you a better pitcher?
Absolutely.
Right.
So being able to understand what you're doing, not just show up physically, but mentally be there as well.
Definitely. And
why you're doing it. Definitely. I think takes your game to the next level as well.
What about from like a nutritional standpoint? At Nebraska, I mean, you guys had the world.
Absolutely.
For nutrition. And the pros, for those of you who do know and experienced it, it's not the same.
It is definitely not the same.
So going from high school to college, what was that transition like from a nutritional standpoint?
You're a high school kid, you do your best to maybe find a decent job to do something you really don't know. You just think, put food in if you have any understanding of it.
Right.
And you get to college and it was, you need to put on weight. So I saw a bigger picture and just was like, if it's on my plate and in my way, I'll just eat it. And then as time goes on, understanding the difference between carbs, proteins, fats, veggies, fruits, understanding what you need to eat, when you need to eat it.
Right.
The different types of carbs, different types of protein, all those little intricacies and vitamins and minerals and those things that it adds up to the bigger picture, but you're actually breaking it down and actually understanding it better than just be like, oh, I need to eat 4,000 calories a day. Okay, you can shove a Pizza Hut pizza down your throat, but that's not going to be the best.
Well, one thing that's interesting, since Nebraska is obviously a little higher level, you have people on staff who are helping you guys, keeping you accountable from a nutritional standpoint. In the pros, you do have that, but it's not as much. Right.
Definitely not.
Right.
So in Nebraska, we had Lindsay, who was there. She was fantastic. Sit down, make individualized nutrition plans with us, and do our best to stick to it. Obviously, with scheduling and class and practice, it's sometimes can get difficult, but you got to make it work. It's a routine.
You got to have a routine.
Got to make it work. Yes. Right. And you get to the pros, and some do have a nutritionist. I know the Royals did. I don't know if the White Sox do, at least at kind of the younger levels. But you got to make it work.
Right.
Do the best you can. You're not given what Nebraska gives you of, almost a 5-star buffet every single day. It's
pretty
fantastic.
Much.
I go home Friday nights with 4 or 5 to-go boxes, and I can eat it all on the weekend.
Of good, healthy food.
Absolutely. And this, your minor leagues, the steak is peanut butter jelly sandwiches. That's what we call it. That's the steak of the minor leagues.
It is. So. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. Like when they like, oh yeah, professional baseball. It's like, unless you're in that, like even AAA, like it's still kind of a grind. Like unless you're in that major level, like you're grinding.
Absolutely.
And that's why like I tell kids, if they're a baseball kid and if they're going to have the ability or the opportunity to go and play pro, I'm like, hey, imagine going to Chick-fil-A every day, 5 days a week, and you have to make sure you have a variety in your diet. You gotta make sure you have fruit and veggies in your meals, and all you're eating is Chick-fil-A. Oh, and you have a budget of $15 every day.
Yeah.
figure it out.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. And so again, it's I think it's for them. It's knowing how to create variations within their meals, within their diets. It makes a big difference.
Absolutely, yeah. You're excited for a Friday night baseball game. Say that the Storm Chasers are playing Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, that visiting team plays the game Thursday night. Either gets on a bus to drive to Omaha in the middle of the night, or they wake up at 4 a.m. to fly into Omaha and then play that night. And as well, you're expected to get 8 hours of sleep on a plane or a bus on the floor, have a nice breakfast if you want. You're getting in at 6. You're getting in at 6 a.m. Buses at 3 o'clock to the field. More than likely, guys are going to sleep till about 1 o'clock.
Right. For the most part, playing video games or whatever.
Go find the quickest Chick-fil-A or wherever we can walk to, and then get on the bus. In and out. Absolutely, yeah, in and out. I'm excited for that, by the way. First thing I eat when I get down there. And then you're expected to go play at a high level. It's tough to do.
100%, dude. So you work with a lot of kids. Did you do pitching lessons for just youth, or is it middle school and high school, or what do you do?
I do anywhere from 8 years old to high school kids.
Cool. So it's a high spectrum.
Prospects. Yeah, big spectrum.
Good. So what's the one thing you see kids lacking in their development from an athletic standpoint?
From an instructor standpoint.
Yeah.
I think younger kids, I think it's going back to just kind of they're scared to ask questions. Mm-hmm. So like, oh, you're a professional baseball player, you should know everything.
Right.
Which I don't. If you put, baseball's data driven now. So if you put a Rapsodo and, ask me what the spin rate and spin efficiency stuff meant, I'd probably be like, I don't know. Right. Did you throw a strike? Did you throw a good pitch?
Right.
Sure, why not?
Right.
And I think they're so concerned about, I'm an expert, I should know this, and if I don't say anything, then we'll just let it be. Right. And another big thing I see going back to the data stuff is like every kid's worried about like velocity and spin rate and all this data stuff, which it's fine. It's what our world's driven by now. I get it. Velocity's great. I wish I had 97 in my arm. I don't. So I got to be smart.
Right.
I got to be a pitcher, not just a thrower.
Right.
And you got 10-year-old kids wanting to throw velocity. Great, but they're throwing it halfway up the backstop. And they're more worried about the velocity rather than the actual pitch itself. How about we just throw the ball in the zone first, and then we'll work on velocity. It's like a quarterback can chuck it 60 yards. Well, it's great. You overthrew your receiver by 20.
Right.
It does you no good.
Right.
So I think the data helps. It definitely does help you in development.
Right.
But I think at times it's overdone.
So do you feel like people are more so they're almost forgetting to master the fundamentals first and then go?
At times I think so. Listen, if the goal of baseball was to have the highest spin rate, yeah, we'd be doing forearm curls and learning how to spin a ball 24/7.
Right. What's
the goal of baseball? Get 3 outs.
Right.
An inning. Doesn't matter how you do it.
Right.
Aaron Bummer, my roommate and teammate at Nebraska, is with the White Sox right now. He throws a 97. He can get 3 outs. Mm-hmm. I can get 3 outs too, but I'm going to throw it 90 miles an hour. Right. And mix and match and go in and out. We're 2 different pitchers, but at the same time, we can still get the job done.
Right.
And I think everyone's so worried about being the same person, same pitcher, of just velocity.
Why is that? What's caused that, you think?
Social media.
Yeah.
The hype.
Right.
Everyone's trying to find the next big thing to make everyone better.
Right.
And everyone just flocks to it. And
right.
I think it just gets watered down.
So then how can we fix that?
Get rid of Twitter. Get rid of
Jack Dorsey.
Yeah, right. I don't see that happening anytime soon. It's just knowing who you are. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing I learned at Nebraska was be someone who or be myself. Don't be someone I'm not.
Right.
I'm not going to try and be someone that throws 99 miles an hour. I'm just not.
Right.
That's not who I am, and that's not who I'm going to be.
Right.
And if I can be myself, go throughout my week and my process of understanding who I am, get my work in, don't get someone else's work in, and I go out there, do my own thing, that's great. I'll be happy with that. But if I'm going to try and be someone I'm not, typically I see the results go drastically down.